Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you how to troll in the jungle.
I think you're gonna love this.
Time to troll!
At level 1, you want to take Q. At the start of the game, grab Hunter's Machete and Refillable Potion, then rush to your red buff regardless of which side of the map you're on. You always start red buff because this meta encourages fights between the junglers, and you'll automatically lose fight if you're caught out or counter ganked without your red buff when they still have it. It's also generally better for auto attack heavy champions like Trundle to start red buff because the entire red side has negative armor, which means junglers that auto attack a lot will clear camps very fast with Machete. And most importantly, you'll guarantee at least one of the first 2 Scuttle Crab spawns for yourself, since you'll either be starting on the opposite side of the map of the enemy jungler or on the same side of the map where they'll have blue buff and you'll have red buff, giving you the advantage in early fights.
Yeah, boy.
Although the gold from the first Scuttle spawn isn't an impressive amount, it's still better to secure at least one of them rather than letting the enemy jungler get both, especially if they're the type of jungler that needs items to be strong. Depending on which side of the map you're on, there are 2 jungle paths. If you're on the blue side, kill red, start raptors, kill as many baby ones as you can until 155 so you can get to the Scuttle nearest you on time. Kill Scuttle, get blue, then meet for a potential Scuttle fight near your blue buff. Fuck! But if you're on the purple side, it's the same process, except you now have the option to take their camp near top lane at level 1, then take Scuttle before taking your red buff. Invading works very well, but as you move up ranks, level 1 invades are less likely to be successful, and teams will start guarding their jungler's buffs, especially if it's a red buff. But blue buffs are generally less guarded, and since you can solo yourself, head into the jungle around 1 minute 20 seconds, because laners can't leave lane now or they'll lose experience.
Are you actually getting this trigger?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Fucking Timo! Oh shit! No way! I'm just gonna die for it. Take it.
Fucking Timo.
Your Q is an auto attack reset that provides a very brief slow, so you always want to use it after auto attack when possible. In the early levels, a combo of auto attack, Q, auto attack will take out 40% of anyone's health and more if red buff's applying his burn damage. It also not only increases his own AD, but also lowers the targets by half the amount, so you'll take less and deal more damage, both when clearing camps and fighting enemies. As a result, you'll clear jungle camps much faster and conserve more health than most of your jungle peers.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
When the jungle camp is getting low on health, start dragging it towards your next destination and kill it along the way, saving you time and distance that you have to walk eventually. Once you get the hang of it, you can start stretching the limits of how far you can pull the camp away from the spawn location and killing them right as they're about to reset. For Trundle, you have enough time for auto attack, Q, auto attack before it resets, so you can start walking away once the jungle camp's health is around 250 health. When you're clearing red buff or any camp in general, kite in between auto attacks because your auto attacks technically have cooldown timers, and dragging the camp around reduces the damage since you're creating distance between you and the camp, which forces the camp to walk until it's in range. By the time it's in range, you'll have another auto attack up and the camp will only have hit you once, leaving you with a healthier and just as fast of a clear. Some camps are easier to kite because they move more slowly, so get into the habit of trying to clear most efficiently in the practice tool, or just draw penises with ice pillars. At level 2, you want to take W. If you're standing close enough to the ice field, Trundle gets bonus attack speed, increased healing from all sources, and movement speed, all of which are really good since it helps clear camps faster. Being able to fight on the ice field and not being able to makes a huge difference in a 1v1, since enemies won't be able to kite as easily if Trundle's on it, and the attack speed buff increases your overall damage by a decent amount. When putting down the ice field, place it towards the direction you're running at, and with you at the very edge of the field, or even slightly outside of it, because this maximizes the time you get the move speed buff when you're chasing someone down or running away. You can place the field slightly outside of where you're standing because the effect radius of the ice field is slightly larger than the actual size of the field, so you'll get the bonus even if you're barely on the field. Dropping the ice field also doesn't cancel any prior commands, so you can W in between auto attacks and Qs because it won't accidentally cancel them, and if you time it properly, using it right after auto attack will cancel the auto attack animation but still push the damage through. When chasing someone down, click the direction you're moving in first, then activate W so your character model doesn't stop for a split second to cast the field. I personally use a mix between unlocked and locked camera, unlocking it to optimize the placement of the field because certain directions are harder to set the field with you at the edge of it on locked camera mode. At level 3, you want to take E. It's your main ability for ganking, and there's a lot of different uses of this ability, both against enemies and for your teammates. When you're ganking a lane, place the pillar slightly in front of, but still underneath the enemy target, because it'll knock them back to your ally, just like Ragazol, and the additional AoE slow from the pillar makes it harder for them to escape without using flash or a dash ability. Although it's fine to just place the pillar in front of them, the pillar isn't going to be as game changing as knocking them back would have been, just minorly inconveniencing, like a mosquito bite. It's not going to kill you, but it's going to suck. The reason why knocking them back is more effective is because being knocked back interrupts auto attacks mid-animation, dashes, channels, and even prevents them from casting abilities when being flung in the air. The closer the enemy stands to the wall, the easier it is for Trundle to get a gank off, since you can trap them with your pillar. By placing the pillar close to the wall, it reduces the available area for pathing and forces the auto pathing system to create a new pathing route that's the shortest distance to where you click, accounting for a new terrain this time around. Since most players click multiple times per second to move, they'll likely be clicking towards the same location that they were trying to retreat to earlier on. So the pathing process will force their champion to auto path back to you and your ally, as the shortest route is to walk around the pillar. As a result, they either panic flash or straight up die to you, or both. In very rare cases, the pillar can occasionally pseudo-root the enemy because the pillar is placed in a location where they can't auto path back to you or move towards where they click, leaving them in a spot for you and your teammates to freely kill them. For more team-oriented uses of your E, the pillar can be used to block interruptible dashes, split two people apart, block a pull, or push an ally out of the way of a skill shot. Just like Volley's E, a well-timed pillar can block enemies trying to jump onto your carries, but because there's a minor delay in animation, using E in this manner isn't going to be too common unless the enemy's dash is also slightly delayed or predictable. A more common use of E will be planting the pillar right between your carries and the enemy assassins, separating them and preventing the enemy team from killing your carries for free. In both cases, the additional slow from the pillar locks down the enemy and prevents them from re-engaging onto your carries or escape after they failed.
God damn it!
A very specific usage of Trundle's E is the ability to stop the pulls of Blitz, Knot, and Pipe. Because the pillar knocks back allies and enemies alike, it can stop Blitz Q that grab one of your allies mid-pull, as a pull is basically the opposite of a dash, which E stops as well. And this knockback feature can be used to push an ally out of the way of a skill shot. For skill order, against mostly AD comps, put at least 3 points in the Q or straight up max it to increase Trundle's abilities to clear camps, gank enemy laners, or duel the enemy jungler. In the early levels, the increase in AD is essentially permanent as long as you can Q something every 8 seconds, largely beating out Xin Zhao and Graves in the early game, not even taking into account the target's loss of AD. You max W second to get the ability to chase down targets because the early and mid game are more focused on winning fights and transitioning these minor wins into objectives. In most ganks or mid game team fights, you're only likely to use each ability once, and E doesn't contribute to how the fight turns out, whereas maxing W lets you deal more damage, run someone down, or even run away from losing fights. Without the damage, even if you get more picks off your E, you could end up baiting your team since you don't have the damage to win fights by yourself, nor do you have good peel compared to other tanky champions.
Enough! You are all of you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Puny god.
Please revert twin items! I can't play the fucking game!
If you're trying to gank, don't place W down the moment you enter lane just to use it to get into melee range of the enemy laner. Instead, place it if the enemy laner starts to run away, or place it down when you're in melee range to maximize your damage, where in both cases the ice field is still pointing towards the enemy turret, just in case they try to run away. For one, if they're overextended, you'll be able to apply your red buff before they get out of range, so it's not wise to waste one of your abilities when it's not necessary. It also reduces your overall damage if the enemy laner manages to run outside of the range of your ice field, since you won't have to bonus attack speed to get more auto attacks, not to mention that you won't have your move speed from your W to chase them down for more than one auto attack. And it's the same for your E. There's no point in pillaring someone who's already overextended, so don't drop your E the moment you step into lane, unless it's absolutely necessary to keep them in range or to trap them. Against enemy laners with dash, delay your E until they dash, so they can't just dash out of your pillar's slow aura, which wastes your time as a jungler if they manage to get away. And the lower elo you are, planting W or E early basically announces,
I came looking for booty.
and the enemy laner, who might not have even seen you, might get away thanks to the warning, costing you a free kill. For the rest of the early game, you can invade or continue the gank, either one which you think will help you get your items faster. As mentioned earlier, as long as your laners aren't getting pushed in and the enemy laner can respond to your actions, invading is rather easy since you get more heal from smite killing a camp, and your early game is very oppressive against melee junglers. Wait, hello? Udyr? If you aren't ganking, counter gank at least so your laners aren't put in a huge disadvantage by an enemy jungler, and this is most easily done just by being on the same side of the map as the enemy jungler and keeping the important areas warded either by you or pinging your laners to ward that general area. In a lot of cases, jungle is more about being in the right place at the right time, where mechanics barely matter and spamming Nunu can get you challenger. Once you get your ultimate, ganks in the early game generally result in one or more deaths because your ultimate robs the enemies of their tank stats and heals you in the process. And the heal can be amplified by placing down your ice field and then ulting, which helps you stay alive in a close 1v1 or 1v2. After you unlock your ult, the normal gank should be walk up, W, R, auto attack, Q, auto attack, E to knock them back to you, and auto attack until they leave melee range. There are 3 types of targets to ult and different reasons for each. Ult the champion with the most health to heal more, ult the champion with the most tank stats to be as tanky as possible, or ult the carry to make them as squishy as possible. While it's naturally better to blow up the carries, if the carry is outside your range, ulting them does nothing when you could just ult the enemy tank and make them extremely squishy.
I got the fucking brand too.
I can ult him.
Yeah, I blame Obama.
In the mid game, if you can handle whoever's in the side lane with you, plus whoever's missing on the map, you can start split pushing and fighting players in the side lane. When you're split pushing, make sure the wave is always slow pushing back to your laners when you're done, which can be set up by pushing the wave into the enemy turret and destroying any waves that are gradually pushing towards the enemy team. By breaking these bad minion waves early, while you are gifting the enemy 6 to 8 minions, that's far better than gifting 15 minions and losing 3 waves worth of gold and experience 2 minutes into the future. It also sets the wave up to slow push back to you later on, making it the enemy's turn to either push the waves out fast or get denied a lot. You can still beat most enemies 1v1 since Trundle's base damage is pretty high, which is amplified by his tank robbing ult, and he's pretty sticky with his abilities.
My machinations lay undetected for years.
In teamfights, your job is to drop pillars to catch someone out and force flashes. Aim to trap the most immobile target and run at them to make them panic flash. If you do manage to trap a carry, run them down since the pillar is basically a death sentence as they shouldn't have any form of resistance and your damage hasn't fallen off yet. But if the enemy has a strong engage, hold your pillar instead because they can easily counter engage and your pillar is your only source of heal for your team. In that case, you also need to drop the pillars onto the carries that are in the backline and keep them from joining the fight, making it easier for your team to kill the player who just engaged. In the late game, this is where having a spammable max rank E is the most useful. Although Trundle's damage has slightly fallen off, a properly placed E is a late game win condition on par with Blitz Q. It's also a lot faster than Blitz Q, a lot more spammable with 40% CDR, and doesn't require the element of surprise by hiding in the fog of war, so players will be dropping flashes left and right.
Hey, nigga, you got a nice little ass, nigga. Give me your ass, nigga. Nigga, you see me looking at you. Give me your ass, nigga. No, stay away. Hey, brown skin, let me holler at you.
But before your game-winning pillar, don't go in too deep because it's not worth it. While you may have a lot of tank items, you don't have a spammable heal or spammable shield that helps sustain or tank damage, nor are tanks even tanky at this point, so you'd just be killing yourself by running in. Again, the pillar doesn't have to exclusively trap a carry. Any support or tank at this point will also melt, and killing them removes their utility from future 5v4s, which can easily win you the fight if their carries have no frontline or peel. At this point in the game, carries should have some defensive stats, so ulting carries isn't the worst thing in the world now. Since you're not really using it for the heal at this point, you make them squishier, and you'll take out a large part of the health with your auto attacks, Q, and Titanic active. Hold the ult for when they're called out and your team is actually dealing damage because the armor and magic resist nerf only lasts for 4 seconds, and ulting them 1 second earlier is 1 second less of increased damage when your team actually starts hitting them. And once you kill that carry, you automatically win the game since they won't respawn in time to stop your push. Congratulations, you learned how to play Trundle Jungle. Here are the runes, the items I normally buy, and some of the matchups he struggles with and what you can do against them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully I'm keeping my word and this video is actually coming out 1 to 2 weeks after a volley top video. Probably not though. Still haven't done ranked yet, but let me know if you want to see a video of me inting and ranked or just another one of these shitty guides. But anyway, thanks again for watching this video and hope to see you in the next one.